When you know what you're looking for, and the jury will have to be told this in advance. When you know what you're looking for or listening for, you clearly hear him, H.J. Hunter, yelling, Xana, Ethan, and then you hear him again yelling for Xana Kernodle to wake up. Here we hear him again. Listen.
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
20, you said?
Yes, 20. Here's one.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
What is wrong with this dispatch operator? But you know what? That's neither here nor there. Here we are hearing H.J. Hunter talking to dispatch, and at the beginning you hear heavy breathing, someone whispering something unintelligible that seems to end with the word blood, and then you hear him turn around and yell, "Get out, get out, get out," and crying, and then you hear a female voice crying, and then you hear dispatch being rude again. Let's hear more of the 911 call just released.
You talk to them, okay? I can't talk to them. They need you to talk to them.
Hello.
Okay. I've already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
Say that again. There's a police here right now.
Okay. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
We don't have one. I think yes. Do you have a defibrillator? Yes, you have one.
Are you talking to the officer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let you go since he's there with you and can help you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay.
To Sydney Summer joining us, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Sydney, you hear dispatch clearly not understanding what's happening. Not their fault, because even the girls right now don't really understand what's happening. The only one that knows what has happened to a certain degree is Hunter Johnson. He saw, obviously, that they were dead and told Dylan and Bethany to get out, yelling at them, get out, don't go in there. A defibrillator would not have helped at that point, Sydney.
No, Nancy, absolutely not. And that's a point the Gonzalez family made in their statement about this 911 call is, again, remember as you're hearing this, if they had called 911 at 4:50 a.m., the result would have been the same. All 4 of these students still would have lost their lives. And Nancy, I do think it's interesting that the girls, everyone on this 911 call mentions the man that they saw in their house at 4 a.m. multiple times. So as they're making this 911 call, the girls know enough to feel like that is connected in some way or shape or form. They feel that's important enough to tell the 911 dispatcher. So it's unclear exactly who knew what in this moment, but it does feel like it was important to them that this possible break-in be mentioned right off the bat.
You know, Sydney Sumner, there is no replacement, there is no substitute for preparation, for a careful review of every line, every document, every piece of evidence, because even one word, or in my case, in a serial murder case I tried, one earring can prove so much. And what you just said, I find incredibly valuable. And I'll tell you why, Sydney Sumner. Because we know that the eyewitness that spotted, who the state says is Bryan Kohberger, his build, his color, his hair color, his bushy eyebrows, they're going to try and destroy her. But what she just said on the 911 call is called an excited utterance. Whether that really fits this scenario or not, that's what it's called under the law. This is before she had time to fabricate a story, as it will be claimed, This is what's happening on the scene. And you're right, Sydney, and you've identified the importance of the witnesses noting then that there was a guy in the house, and if the dispatch hadn't interrupted her, we would have heard more right there about what happened around 4 a.m. You're right. She is connecting the murders to the intruder in the home. Now, you also heard Sydney Sumner, our reporter, talking about what the Gonsalves family said, Kelly's family. And I got to tell you, these families have been through hell. Hell. And it's not over yet. There's a trial to be had. But I want you to hear what they have to say about this 911 call. In all their suffering, they maintain not only courage, but grace.
The Gonsalves family releases a statement. They say every ragged breath, cry, and tremor in the students' voices reveals a cruel reality they experienced, the kind of horror that shakes you to your deepest core.
Tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night, and she's not waking up. Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah.
In the last hours, heart-wrenching 911 calls have been released of what was going on at the scene of the murder when the roommates wake up and discover 4 people. They didn't know at the time they were all dead. 4 beautiful, beautiful University of Idaho students. This as a smirky selfie emerges of, oh, thank you, Bryan Kohberger. This is around 10:20, 10:30 in the morning, 10:31 a.m. to be precise. Interesting. This is just after the murders. That said, take a listen to this. Of course, you know this is coming. Those 911 calls are so powerful. The defense is fighting tooth and claw to get them suppressed.
Law enforcement released the 911 recording after prosecutors unsealed a court document with transcript of the call. The filing in response to Kohberger's argument the jury should not hear the 911 call. Attorneys argue that the call was improperly submitted as evidence, as many of the statements made in the call are hearsay. Judge John Judge already ruled that the statements in question fall under present tense impression and excited utterance exceptions, but defense attorneys are making the argument again with Ada County Judge Stephen Hippler.
Joining me, high-profile lawyer out of the LA jurisdiction, Philip Dubé. Okay, you know what you just heard. I'm going to throw a technical legal term at you. Is a big stinking pile of BS. Okay, that's what that legal motion is. And I don't know how defense attorneys keep doing it and have a straight face. You know, they make an argument that a 911 call shouldn't come in. When, of course, it's coming in. It's an excited utterance and it's a present tense impression. But also, of course, it's going to come in if the speaker takes the stand and can be questioned,
Right.
be cross-examined on it. So
I understand that.
what are they trying to do?
Well, I think what they're trying to establish is that you cannot use 911 calls to circumvent the rules against hearsay. And you got to understand something. In order for it to be a present sense impression, they have to be relaying what is happening in real time. In other words, as it occurs. And one of the things she says, there was a man in the house last night. So what are you going to do? You're going to state stale facts from the night before to get around the
Wait a
rules
minute, I've
against
got to see
hearsay?
his face when he's saying this to see if he is keeping a straight face. Okay,
He
first
sure
of all,
is.
what you just said is not true because I have entered 911 calls, seen 911 calls entered into evidence by the murder victim who obviously could not be cross-examined unless you perform a seance in front of the jury. So the fact that the 911 caller or who is speaking on the 911 call cannot be crossed is not a reason not to bring in the 911 call And the judge pointed out, I guess you think the judge is wrong too, under excited utterance and present sense impression. It's coming in.
Where would it end? What if she would have said, I saw a man in the house 6 years ago, Shavuos, but I happened to find my roommates deceased in their bed today? I
But that's
think
not what she said.
no, but she said last night. So last night is a stale fact. It's not a present
No, it's not.
sense impression. How do you
Put
figure?
him up.
Come on.
You are
Put her up.
misleading
Put her up.
the
There she is.
viewers. Present
Not at all.
tense impression is what the speaker is saying at that moment. It doesn't matter if she's recounting something that happened 8 hours before. And when she says last
No way.
night, that's something she can be cross-examined on. Okay, you know what? I'm not a betting person, but why don't we bet right now on air that this 911 will come in?
Of course it will, because anything to stick it to the defense. They're going to find tortured legal logic to get it into evidence. Of course that's what they're going to do.
Okay, you
But
know
if
what?
we
Let's
wanna
go to someone with real life experience in 911 calls. Chris McDonough joining me, homicide detective, worked over 300 homicide cases, plus he was in Vice. You don't even want to know what he saw in Vice. Chris, have you ever in your life and all the cases you investigated ever seen the 911 call excluded from evidence, suppressed so the jury could not hear it? Ever. One time.
No, and definitely not under these circumstances. I mean, your point is right on target, Nancy, with the excited utterance here. It is the exception to the hearsay rule. And remember, we also have to keep the frame of mind of the caller. They are still thinking that their friend is passed out, drunk from the night before. And the other person that grabbed the phone even started the conversation with that. So that's the present tense when it starts.